If you're running a small business, then you've probably heard the old adage that it is 10 times more expensive to win a new customer than to retain an existing customer. And there is a lot of truth in this. It's a subject that I know a lot about because I actually have a master's degree in marketing and innovation. And as part of getting this degree, I had to do a 30,000 word dissertation. And the subject I chose to do the dissertation on is customer loyalty. So I am a genuine expert on this subject, not just from the point of view of practicalities of running a business, but also from the point of view of academic research. Because if there has been any academic research on the subject of customer loyalty, then I guarantee I know about it. So, how do you keep customer loyalty? What is the best way to make sure your customers are going to stay loyal? A lot of my clients, as part of my marketing agency, ask me this very question. They say, what is the one single thing I can do to retain my customers? And I always give them the same answer. I mean, there are loads of things you can do. There are absolutely loads of things you can do to ensure customer loyalty. And people pay me good money to actually help them with customer loyalty strategies. But there's one thing, one simple thing that you can do right now, and it'll cost you nothing, and it'll take you very little time. It's really simple. And I'm going to explain what that one thing is that's more important than anything else in the next 2 minutes. And in order to do it, I'm going to tell you a little story, a true story. And at the end of that story, in a few moments' time, you will understand what this thing is you need to do to ensure your customers remain loyal to you. Okay, so as part of my business, my marketing agency, the thing I do when I'm not making YouTube films, I often have to travel to London. Now I live in Leeds in West Yorkshire. London's about 200 miles away. And so I usually end up staying in a hotel overnight or for a few nights. And in order to save my company money, I usually stay in something like a Travel Lodge, a Premier Inn, Ibis, Best Western, those kind of cheap hotels. In fact, if you look around my YouTube channel, you'll see that I make lots of review films on cheap hotels. And the reason I do that, I'm not being tight, but it's just better because then I'm not wasting company money. It's my bottom line. At the end of the day, the more money I spend on hotels, the less profit for my business. So it kind of makes sense. Just stay in something like a Travel Lodge. Don't spend too much money. Now, a few months ago, I had to go down to London at short notice. Normally, I have plenty of advance notice and I'll book a hotel in advance. But on this occasion, I had less than a week's notice that I had to be down in London. And I had a look on Travel Lodge website, Premier Inn, Ibis, Best Western, Trivago, all of them. You know all these different budget hotel sites and comparison sites. You already know the type of websites I'm referring to. And I couldn't find any hotel in the area that I needed to be in for under £100, and that is even the budget hotels. I mean, London can be very expensive for hotels. Even cheap hotels can cost you an awful lot of money in London. And so I had a look on Trivago, and eventually I found a cheap independent place, and it was about half the price of any of the others. And so on the one hand I was quite pleased, but then on the other hand I thought, is this place going to be really awful? Is it going to be terrible? I mean, do I really want to stay in a place that's so cheap? And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll look at the reviews on TripAdvisor. And I'm sure you've all heard of TripAdvisor. Everybody knows about TripAdvisor. I had a look on TripAdvisor, and much to my surprise, it had good reviews. So it was cheap. It was in London. It was in the area of London I needed to be in. And it was a lot cheaper than Travel Lodges or all the cheap places. It was cheaper than the ones that are normally cheap, and it had good reviews. So I thought, oh, fine, I'll take a punt, why not? I mean, good reviews. If there's just been one or two good reviews, but most of the reviews were really good. So you think, oh, you know, if more than one person gives a good review, that's a good sign. If lots of people give good reviews, that means they must be actually really good. So I stayed there, and can you guess what happened? Well, I'll tell you. The place was awful. It was an absolute shithole. excuse my language, I might bleep that out. It was dirty, the floor was dirty, the wash basin was dirty, the bed was dirty. There were piles of rubbish outside the hotel room that had been left there days, which food waste that was smelly. The room was smelly from food waste outside the hotel rooms. And people at reception didn't care. The place was awful. Why had it got such good reviews? Were these reviews faked? I mean, you do hear these stories about on TripAdvisor, some of the reviews are fakes, and I'm sure some of them are fakes actually. But there were so many. And more worrying, these reviews were by people who'd done lots of reviews and they seemed to be genuine. So I didn't think they were fake, and I just couldn't work out why there were so many good reviews for a place that was so horrible. And so I started looking a bit more deeply into these reviews. I started studying them in much more depth. And the thing I did, which made me realise what the whole issue was, I started looking at the other reviews that had been written by the people who'd written the bad reviews. So for example, if there was somebody called Jonathan who'd written a really good review of this hotel, I had to look at Jonathan's other reviews. If there was a woman called Mary who'd written a good review, so I looked at Mary's other reviews, and a pattern started emerging. And what I'm about to tell you now will explain what I'm talking about relating to customer loyalty. Almost all of these positive reviews about this shithole in London were written by backpackers, students, people on a very low budget, people who were used to staying at campsites, at youth hostels, at YMCAs, staying in dormitories with 5 or 6 other people, strangers in the same room. I'm talking about your backpacker types. And I've been there. I've backpacked all over America, all over Europe and places. So I know when you're younger, you do that. When you get around my age, 50s and 60s, you want something a little bit better. You want at least a Travelodge standard. The point of all of this is the people who'd written good reviews of this awful hotel wrote good reviews because they were used to something worse. That's the whole point. They were used to having things that were worse. And if you're used to staying in a really dirty youth hostel with 10 strangers in the room, then staying in a room where you've got your own toilet and you've got your own wash basin and you're not sharing the room with a bunch of strangers, that's going to seem like luxury. That's going to seem like heaven, isn't it, compared to what you're used to? And all the good reviews were written by people who were used to something worse. So what is the point related to customer loyalty? Because this is the big lesson. This is the one point of this whole film. People are loyal according to their expectations. It's about customer expectations. If you want to win customer loyalty, it's not about having the best product. You don't have to have the best product. You don't have to have the best price. You don't have to have the best delivery times. You don't even have to offer the best value for money. But what you do need to do is make sure that you exceed the expectations of your customers, whatever those expectations may be, whether they expect low quality, whether they expect high quality, no matter what they're expecting, you have to exceed it. That is the key to customer loyalty. And the problem with this particular hotel is all the people who'd given good reviews were people who had lower expectations. That is the number one law of customer loyalty. And as I say, I wrote 30,000 words in an academic dissertation on the subject for a master's degree. But I can tell you now, in one sentence, the most important thing for retaining customer loyalty is to exceed your customers' expectations. Find out what your customers' expectations are and then exceed them. Well, I hope you found this film useful, and if you have, I'd really appreciate it if you could like, share, and especially subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost anything at all, and if you want to put your comments in the box below with any questions, I'm more than happy to help you by answering them if I can. And again, there's no charge involved, there's no hard sell, I haven't got anything to sell. I just want to help you as a small business owner. My name's Darren Bugg. Until next time, I hope you're successful in whatever you do, and I'll see you again very soon.